I don't even like to, how it does the statistics thing like that. I don't even like to look at it. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I have no idea.
I'd be trying to like beat my record, but like,
My sister, she said she looks at hers and she only does like an hour a day.
dang.
But it's like she's a very like in tune with life person. I feel like she's not like a social media person like how I am and stuff. So like she really only uses her phone to like communicate.
Yeah.
And she might scroll, like I said, here and there and send me a video. But like, yeah.
Yeah, for us it's a little different. We work with social media.
Yeah, like I feel like I'm low key a celebrity. I don't know. I always like posting my life and stuff. I've never had an issue with it. But my sister was like super private. Like when she was pregnant with her daughter, she literally didn't even post pregnancy pictures until she gave birth. And then everyone's like, "Oh my god, congratulations! When are you due?" Like a week ago. And then like my aunt had a birthday party, and then like other family members started showing up. And I'm like, oh my god, somebody's about to pull up her baby that nobody knows she has. It was funny.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I use social media for work and business, but like personally, like I don't really post anything because my mindset is always like, oh, who cares? Especially when you're a dude, like
So
I promise
like
nobody
I
cares.
said, like I've always been like popular. So like I don't know, since social media came out, like middle school, like high school, stuff like that, like I always had a really good, let's say like at least immediate following and stuff. So yeah, like, I don't know. At least like the people I care about care and they watch. So and then now that I have my students, it's even bigger because now I feel like I said on Instagram, since I've been posting my Waffle House stuff, like my kids are always commenting, and then like I say like my old partner at work, because like when I'm a server and he's the grill guy, and we always work together. But they're like, he's like their favorite character and stuff like that, and they're always like asking about him and stuff. So I'm just like, I feel like as long as like him and I are posting, they want to pay attention and they're commenting and they're responding. So I'm just like, oh. And then like people were like, oh my god, you work at Waffle House, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna post like every shift. And like, you should. Oh my god. I mean, it's fun. Like we really do have like a great time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I have this thing where like I've been looking at like other social media people and like the constant thing that everybody does is like to try to look like glamorous. And I'm like, who is that person? To me,
I feel like that like they try to act like they are a celebrity, but I'm like, yeah, no, I like being authentic because it works because like I said, like, with me being a teacher and stuff, like the kids, like, it was their idea and that's just who I am. And then now I'm working at Waffle House. It's like, no, it's not glamorous at all. We work at Waffle House. It's more, like I said, it's just fun.
Yeah. See, I like that.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't know, I tried to reach out to a couple different like, these Instagram people or whatever, that they look like they're like living it up and stuff. And I'm looking at their surroundings. I'm like, okay, so they live in the area. I see the things that they're doing. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe they're like a couple notches above me as far as like tax bracket or whatnot. And I'm like,
a lot of times that's not even the case because I
yeah,
knew
they might be
people.
lying.
Yeah, I knew some people who were really good. Like I would say, yeah, and it was like hilarious. Like if you like, they could be like low key homeless or like call them like homosexuals. They just like staying in relationships to live somewhere, And like I even knew somebody who like claimed to be like a model, and like it was that she just had like guys that thought she was hot taking pictures of her, like, but it's like you're calling yourself a model, but you don't have any like paid gigs. Like you just guys with cameras take photos of you and then you post them. So I mean, like I guess
So like I'm trying to navigate this like social media lifestyle stuff.
Yeah.
So much of it is just people faking.
Oh yeah, yeah, completely.
And it's so kind of like, what's in it for me? If you ever want to like collab,
yes,
and I'm like, I don't like that. Like,
yeah, no, it's they're kind of weird. So yeah, when I was younger, I was like, I don't know, I was like, oh, I could probably take off on Instagram, but then it was like, I felt like the comments got like crazy and stuff. Like when my photos really started getting like a lot of likes and a lot of comments, it was like, okay, this is insane. Like, no, people got too much to say. I'm good, so I fell off for a while.
Let me know if the pressure's ever too much.
That's fine. Very kind of tender, so.
You being a teacher is kind of crazy because like I have a nephew and a niece. Like,
Yeah.
Let's say I watch them for like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yo, I can't do this.
No, I love kids. They're fun. You know what I think it is? I feel like a lot of people struggle with children because they have these egos. And I even noticed that, like, one of my work besties, it was his second year of teaching and he was done. He went back to personal training. And, like, my biggest thing, I just really felt like he was like, oh, they're so disrespectful and this and that. And I'm like, this is middle school. Like, stop internalizing the things that they're saying. Like, you really getting bent out of shape over a 12-year-old right now? Like,
That's crazy.
for me, I just think the stuff that they say is hilarious. And I just think maybe because for me, I'm very like, secure with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, even if they said something that's true, like, okay, like I didn't already know that. Like, I woke up this morning knowing that about myself. Congratulations, you know? So it's like, and then like also too, like the kids when they're mad at you, that's when they say horrible things. But even with that, it's like then in the next day they love you. So it's like, okay, like whatever. Like I'm not gonna get bent out of shape because some little boy threw a fit and called me out my name. Like, all right, then I see you're having a hormonal day today. Go take a nap. Like, don't care. Like, and I think I've always been like really like nonchalant like that. Like the kids will be like, oh, so and so's crying. Yeah, I have time for that. Like I don't care. Like you guys are in middle school. Whatever they're crying about, I know it's not important. I just know it's not.
Yeah. Because
then it's not like you do like when you feel like you have time for that day, you go ask them, and then it's something stupid, and I'm like, okay. Like I'm not gonna validate their feelings because I know that like they're little and the things that are big to them are not big to me.
Yeah.
And I remember being in middle school and those things were big. So, everybody's big is different. So I'm just like, okay, this isn't going to matter in 3 days. So you're going to be okay. Go ahead, go to the bathroom, get some water, wipe up your face, and let's get back to work. You're tripping right now. They're so cute with that. Because I feel like when it is serious, they do come talk to you privately. They're not going to be crying in front of the class. Right now, you just want attention. So, yeah. And that's why, like, they always, like, sometimes they'll think, like, but they're crying. It's not that serious because I know if they're crying out here, they're fine. If they, like, come to you, like, during lunch and just walk in the classroom, start crying, oh, what happened? So, yeah, it's definitely different. And I feel like that, like, people struggle with children because they don't know how to navigate their own emotions. So it's really difficult to navigate someone else's emotions who has not yet developed them.
Yeah.
So I feel like with me, like, I've already fully developed my emotions because I'm 30. And, I feel like I've healed. I've been in therapy. I've been through everything I needed to go through to really understand and be secure and confident with myself and stuff like that. And then I can navigate, a little being very big emotions. So it's fine. Because I see it all the time, like, teachers getting bent out of shape over something a kid did. And I'm like, I can't. I don't even, like, I don't. Like, it's because everything kids do is a joke to me. Like, it's a kid.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally a kid. But, whatever. It's like, that's why it's not for everybody. Because everybody, I feel like people got to do work on themselves to get to that point to be able to, because I'll share with my friends some crazy things that kids say, and they're like, oh my God, you didn't do anything? Why? Do what? Like, do what? For what? Like, the 12-year-old.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, the more I study about the body and like how to truly heal and recover, like, you kind of have to study kids and babies,
Mm-hmm.
and like crying for aka no reason is actually something that we're supposed to do even as adults.
Yeah, no, I tell people that all the time. I cry for no reason a lot. Like when my friend Josh recently had like a big cry, and it was like really embarrassing because it happened like we were on like a little like beach vacation and stuff. He's like, I don't know why that just happened. I was like, because you've been holding that mess in. You're supposed to cry regularly.
Yeah.
He's like, what? I was like, yeah, I cry all the time. Like sometimes I like to cry after work, you know, decompress in my car.
Yeah.
I was like, it's not that I had a bad day at work. I just need to like let something out or something, you know. Like I cry often. My little sister, she said she does that too. But people are like, what, you just cry on the van? And I'm like, no, like when I feel the emotion, I let it happen. I don't just like choose to cry. Because I feel like a lot of the time people like just hold it in. And it's like, I don't do that. I think that's what made my connection really like cool with my students, because I think they could tell it's just really authentic like that. Because especially as a reading teacher, we read a lot of things, and there was this one thing that I didn't read it before I read it to the class, and you know, you should always plan and prepare, but you know, some days you just like whatever, I'm winging this, and I started reading it. And then I started to cry, and I was like, "Chuck, I was like, wait, guys, give me a minute. I didn't read this for y'all guys." They're like, "What?" And I was like, "You okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't know it was like this." So yeah, first period had to go through that. Because if I had read it alone at first, then I would have processed it on my own.
And it's kind of hits you.
Yeah, I'm like, oh.
I like that because I like to study kind of like philosophy and like understanding kind of like dark psychology, or what some people call shadow work. It's just kind of like understanding the bad of you.
Yeah.
And once you start kind of diving into that and start learning about that, like it sounds funny, but you do start crying because then you realize like, damn, like there were times in the past you were the villain.
You know, I feel like, but that's also, like I said, like everything I've been through, that's part of accepting who you are. And like I said, I feel like a lot of people have egos because they haven't accepted that side. And like I always say, like I know that I'm the villain in some people's stories, but that's part of like the human element.
Yeah.
Because I feel like most human beings, you always want to look at yourself as like a good person.
Yeah.
And I truly believe everyone is doing the best they can with what they have. And sometimes when you are doing the best you can, you do end up the villain, because that's just how the cookie crumbled at that moment. You know what I mean? So I feel like just accepting that you are the villain in some people's story, like I don't know, helps me sleep at night. Where it's like, it's crazy because my friend Josh called me yesterday about, you know, some drama that happened with some of our ex-friends. And I was like, see, that's why I don't even know why I used to talk to them people, because I know our names are both dragged through the mud because we are the enemy now, you know? And I'm like, it's fine. It's fine. Like, I know what I did. I know what they did. It's all good. Like, these people don't believe this. I will accept my truth, and that's it, you know? So I feel like a lot of people, they'll fight tooth and nail till their face turns blue to like protect their reputation, or like because it's ego. It's ego, and I'm not like that. It's like, okay, whatever you believe, whatever you heard, keep it. So, but that's just being peaceful within yourself, and just, you know, accepting that you're human, and no, I'm not a good person all the time. It's impossible in every situation, you know.
Like most massage therapists, I do shrooms. And I like to like just kind of like take trips, like spiritually speaking. And in those kind of moments, like you learn so much about yourself, the world, like how everything really works.
Yeah.
And once you come off of that high and you come back to earth, like I just look at the world differently. I'm like, yo, this place is not how it's supposed to be. You know, like. Sorry, it's like my special move that on the
I like it
love.
because I feel like it actually like loosens.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times when people think of massage, they do think of all those like relaxing slows, but like how you said, to really optimize the body and really get something done, sometimes you gotta do something else.
This move is pretty funny because on the internet people are like, yo, how are you doing that? And then I've actually had other massage therapists be like, yo, how do you do that? I'm like, I didn't know it was like that hard of a thing.
Yeah, because isn't it just like tapping the sides of your hands?
I guess it's a skill that a lot of people have. Like it's...
Okay. Maybe the speed that you do that. It feels really good though. It's like you really feel like the circulation. You don't get the like tingling.
Yeah.
Of like the circulation coming back.
Here's a hot stone. It's gonna be
Oh,
kind of hot.
nice! Yay!
Not too bad, right?
No, it's fine.
But yeah, something in my life journey that I've been going through right now is starting before you're ready.
Yeah,
and starting at the worst time.
Or you know what it is? I feel like ever since I became a teacher, I finally like accepted that where like, you know, because I watch like a lot of motivational videos and stuff, and they always say that like, you know, do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, start before you're ready, or you know, like just do it, you know, all that stuff, right? Yeah. And like how I said, like I was having my quarter life crisis. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Called Josh, talking about whatever. I'm dropping a link. Apply tonight, whatever, right? So I'm like, okay, I never in my life had imagined I'd ever be a teacher. Like, it's like none of that, right? I applied that night. The next day, schools were calling. So the next week, I just started visiting and going. Like, I wasn't ready for anything. I'd never prepared because I'd never done it, never even worked with kids. I was like, I don't know, what in the world? Like, what did I just jumped? And then, like I said, it all happened so fast because, like, I applied that week. The next week I looked at schools, and the Thursday of that week it was open house. So once I picked the school, they asked me to come to do open house. And then the next week was the first day of school.
Dang.
So I was like, what? I haven't even looked at the curriculum. Hold on. That's what I was like winging this. Wait a minute, you know, and it's just that where like sometimes you can't wait a minute. You just need to do it. And it feels good now because now I feel like that, and I always heard like, you know, put yourself in places that, you know, you're uncomfortable or you feel like you don't belong, because that's how I felt. I always felt like I'm not square enough to be a teacher. Like same. I'm not like goody two shoes enough to snitch on a kid or something, like, you know what I mean, like, or the things that a lot of teachers care about, I don't, you know. So I don't know, I didn't think that I would ever do it, and then now I have, and it's like, oh well, this was a good turnout. So yeah, but I realized that I'm just like, I'm myself. I don't have to try to be the square teacher. You know, I don't have to be the super disciplinary teacher where their classroom is military boot camp or something. Like in my classroom, we just vibe and we just chilling. Like, read this and shut up, bro. Just chill.
I remember back when I was in high school. I think it might have been my junior year. There was this one like math teacher. It was like the super advanced one. Let's say trigonometry. It might have been different, but let's just say trigonometry. And he had like such a like pompous kind of aura to him. And he would walk around like kind of like in this arrogant kind of way of like, I'm so smart. I teach like the hardest form of math. None of my students are smart. That's why they don't get it. And I'm like, I never understood that. So like a big thing was that a lot of the students didn't want to class with him because then they would know that they would fail. And like thinking back at it now, it's like extra weird because I'm like, wait a minute, you were a whole ass teacher and you kind of low-key liked that all your students were fail? Like,
because like I said, it's ego. Like my sisters, some people become teachers because they were like lame adults.
Yeah.
And like they have, like I said, this ego, like, and it's like they want to be like the smartest one in the room.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you're the teacher that's supposed to be teaching this material, you are pretty much considered the smartest one in the room. You know, and like I said, and that feeds their ego. Like, I know this, you don't, you never gonna get it. Like, it's so stupid. Because there's people, like I said, I am a reading teacher, and you know, my literacy level is really high. Like, I write at like the graduate level, and stuff. I'm a graduate school dropout and all that. Like, you know, so I've always been exceptional at reading and writing. I've never had an issue with it. Like, I would say I can't even remember a time in my life where I couldn't read. Like, probably from the time my eyes opened, I was looking at words and like learned phonics like real young. So I was sounding things out like immediately, you know. But you know, there's always times like I remember we were like, you know, just doing something stupid and playing like hangman in class. And when they were like guessing a word, they realized I spelled the word wrong. And I said, what? Spaghetti got an H in it? Like, you know, like, and it's like, you know, and I'm the teacher. Like sometimes it happens. It's like I don't remember everything. I don't know. And I didn't check it
I mean, let me
beforehand.
pause for a second. Have you ever tried to copy theory?
Yeah.
Do you want to do copy?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Okay, continue.
But yeah, so you know, sometimes I spell a word wrong. I remember one time this girl, she wanted to go ahead in her workbook, and she's like, "Oh, can I work on like the prepositions?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can do that if you want to." And she's like, "Will you check it when I'm done?" I was like, "Girl, I don't even know what a preposition is. Like, when I go learn that, I'll check it." She's like, "What?" And I said, "I'm learning too. Give me a second." Because like I said, I didn't do the curriculum before school started, so I was like, I'm checking the lessons like a day or two before I teach it to you. Hold on, like, you want to go ahead, we'll get there. Just give you a minute. Like, of course, there's a lot of things I know, but then there's like other things I need like a refresher on because it's like I haven't done sixth grade level stuff in a long time. So like, and then you know breaking things down like that, I'm like. We'll see. We're gonna find out what a preposition is together. Don't worry. And I don't mind. And I think, like I said, like it helps them like look at me as human. And then I feel like that's why I was the teacher that they were the most open with. And like anytime something was going down, like you know, other teachers or administration were like asking because they know like the kids can tell me things, you know. But it builds trust when they know you're a human too. So yeah.
This like big kind of theory. I believe in about 5 years, the next generation,
Yeah.
they're gonna come in and they're gonna just do things differently.
Yeah.
But not in a bad way.
No, I agree.
I think they're gonna look at the world around them. It's just they're gonna just say no, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Because like even now, like it took 2020 for so many different people to come together and say, hey, why are we going to an office when we can just kind of do it from home?
Yeah. Like wasting all this time and money for what?
And I think it just keeps going after that. Like people are gonna be looking around and they're gonna be like, hey, we can save money doing this. Hey, we can save time doing that.
Yeah, and have more of your life back.
Yeah, and even the idea of like working 5 days a week, I think in about 5 years we're gonna start looking at that differently. We're gonna be like, hey, why not just 3?
Right. Yeah. They're already talking about 4, but yeah, why not just 3?
That way we can give like 150% every time we do whatever we do.
Yeah.
The quality goes higher, and the need for it to be 5 days a week will just kind of go away, whatever it may be, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's so many things about the workforce and life and culture. Like it's gonna change very, very dramatically. Just I think 5 years.
I think so too, because I think the powers that be will recognize, especially when it comes to stimulating an economy. Like if people are broke all the time and you know we're working like crazy, but then we don't have time or money to stimulate the economy, like what's the point? So it's like that if you give people the opportunity to actually spend their money and have extra money to spend, it is better for the economy. Rather than I feel like everybody I know has their main job and their side hustle. Like I said, mainly I'm a teacher. On the side, I slang waffles. You know, like, so it's like, but everyone like even like what do you call it? Like a lot of teachers they do like boys and girls club or summer school, like stuff like that where they all have like an extra job. But I feel like all my friends have like 2, 3 jobs. And it's like if you're working 2, 3 jobs, you don't have a lot of time to go play.
Yeah.
So Excuse
think
my hairy legs.
no, you're fine. I think that is something that is like it's unsustainable.
Yeah,
and it's not going to be
exactly.
around for too long.
Exactly.
I think this next generation,
Because,
they're going to have the answers.
Right, because it's just everything has gotten way too expensive,
Yeah.
and like the incomes haven't increased, so it's like there's something's got to change.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they say a crash is going to happen soon, and I believe it. I really do think so in the next couple of years because people can't afford anything. So it's just
I think the respond of things matter. So like, this might seem a little out there, but just hear me out. iPhones.
Okay.
Right. I think we're at the peak technology of like phones.
Okay.
And I think what's going to happen is we're going to hit a ceiling, and then after that, touching the ceiling, we're actually going to come down.
Yeah, because at what point, what else do you need your phone to do?
Yeah. So funny enough, this year Apple's going to release a phone that actually has less features. So it's going to have less cameras, less battery.
What?
I swear to you, it's an actual thing. They're going to call it the iPhone Air.
Oh my god.
And it's going to have like just less of everything, but they're going to try to sell it to us as if it's something new and something that we want. And I don't think that trick is going to work.
I don't think so either. Because you want to know why I know that? Because you know how we're at the 16 now, right?
Yeah.
I still have a 13 Pro.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people I know that still have, for some reason, people held on to their 13 for a while. And I think we're doing that because everything after the 13, if you ask me, it's the same
It's the same phone.
Because it's like how you said, what else can you add?
I think we're at the
What
end.
else? Yeah.
So I think what happens is once we kind of come to terms with, okay, we're at the end of technology, we're at the end of consumerism, like we don't need to do more, so we should start doing less.
Yeah.
And when we start doing less, all of a sudden you're going to start seeing people be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go outside.
Yeah.
I'm going to go outside and walk for free, Like,
yeah.
So now I've noticed like people are leaving gyms and they're literally working out at the park.
Yes.
And people can like socialize and they get some sun, and like turns out the things that were free were always better.
Yeah.
And this illusion of like, no, I gotta buy the latest and greatest.
Yeah, I gotta be in this elite gym club membership.
I think that's gonna go wasted. And I think the next generation has to do that, like that first big step of like, I'm not doing that. I'm gonna go this way. So I'm kind of waiting for that.
And I think that's also happening because it's like how you said, when they realize, oh, well, it's free and it's better anyways. Because like I said, we're getting to a point where we can't afford anything. So it's like, okay, like if I'm trying to cut a budget and your gym membership is $30 and you got to drive over there and like all this stuff, it's like, you know what, forget it, cancel it, I'll go around the neighborhood, like and that's it. That's it. So yeah, and then like even that, like people realize that they don't need all that like gym equipment and like stuff like that. You can get some basic things on Amazon and use your own body for resistance and stuff like that, and watch YouTube videos to learn. You don't gotta pay a personal trainer, like Yeah,
I have this thing where, and I kind of have to wait till like I'm a little bit more popular, because if I just say now, people are just gonna think I'm crazy. What if I told you I don't really work out?
I mean, that's believable.
Well, most people don't believe me. And when I tell them like, I kind of just do like.
Because you want to know what it is? A lot of people don't realize that your lifestyle can maintain your body if you're having like, I would say, a healthy, fit lifestyle. So it's like, I feel like, think about like guys in construction, right? They're like super hot. A lot of them don't have a gym membership. That's what they do. Like, you know what I mean? So it's, it's stuff like that where like people don't realize that. And my dad always told me that. He's like, you have to like incorporate fitness in your life. Like me, like I don't take elevators because I know I'm capable of taking the stairs. So I do that. I don't care if it's 10 stories, I'll meet you up there. And my mom always says like, do it because you can, because there'll be a time in your life where you can't, once you're like old and shit, So I always feel like if I'm able-bodied, I'm gonna do it, but that's me like incorporating that in my life, even choosing to park in the back of the parking lot instead of, looking for a spot in the front. That's just like incorporating, I say, a healthy choice or a fitness activity into your life. And then also, people don't realize that your diet is essential to obviously the formation and development, maintenance of your body. And so, even like certain foods release certain enzymes that like even as like a woman would make your breast perky. So it's like you don't gotta do chest workouts. You can eat a papaya. Like, so it's stuff like that. Like I just think people don't have that information.
Yeah.
So they don't realize it. 'Cause even now, like I was super overweight still like on my journey.
Mm-hmm.
But in December, I was 241 pounds. Today, I'm 190.
Wow.
So yeah, like, but I feel like it was that what really changed a lot for me was I did get a nutritionist, and because I feel like I was always an active person. My friends and I love hiking and being outside, and I do go to the gym, and I did track and cross country in high school, and I do weight lift, and all that stuff. I did it all, but like I was always like overeating. I didn't really understand like the value of different foods, and like I thought I did. I really did. But my nutritionist really helped like open my eyes to like the reality of what food can do for you. So
That moment you had with your nutritionist,
yeah,
that's kind of the moment I want to have with a lot of people, but it's about kind of everything with the body.
yeah,
And I want to showcase like, and this is gonna sound weird, and I'm not trying to be, big head egotistical,
yeah,
but like most people are wrong and they're heading in the wrong direction.
yeah, and I realized that. So
yes, but it's because of like bad influence.
Yes, absolutely. I remember. So it's funny now working at Waffle House where people will come and they want to try to do like something healthy, right? So this girl was like, I want a diet, so I don't want any sweets. Can I just have hash browns? And I'm like, and I laughed. She's like, what? And I was like, how about you want a protein instead? And she's like, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, I don't know how you feel about red meat or something, but we do have chicken breast, and a lot of people don't know that about Waffle because the menu that you see at Waffle House on the table, it's called the favorites menu. The real menu is in our minds. They train into us. Yeah, so you're supposed to learn all the items and the prices and stuff like that. So it makes it easy to like customize things, or you can recommend things and like stuff like that for when customers have like weird orders and things. So there's like a lot of stuff that people don't know that Waffle House has. So it's like when people talk about like healthy things, I was like, I eat healthy here, but the thing is, Waffle House has next to no vegetables. We only have lettuce, tomato, onions, jalapenos, and mushrooms as our vegetables. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's like those are my vegetable options, and then I only eat protein because everything else is a carb. We have grits, we have hash browns. Like there's really and bread. There's Texas toast, sweet toast, white toast, raisin toast. And that's another thing too that a lot of people don't realize. That carbs is carbs. It doesn't matter if you eat white bread, wheat bread. It doesn't matter. It's carbs. So it's like when I try to make those like recommendations to people, it's like it's mind blowing. Because she was like, even with that, can I get this hash browns and orange juice? And then I literally said, because I always look at the labels because of how I'm eating. I said, our orange juice has 37 grams of carbs. She said, what does that mean? I said, well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I recently lost 50 pounds and I don't have more than 30 grams of carbs a day. So if you have one beverage with 37, you're already way above what you should be having. She's like, what? Oh my God. Like, she didn't know.
Yeah.
She's just like uneducated with nutrition. You think you're trying to lose weight, but you just ask me for a bottle of sugar and a plate of carbs. Like, what? Like, so I was like, how are we doing water and a chicken breast? Like, what are you talking about right now? So it's funny because people they don't know. They just really don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. So it's like that for kind of everything, like whether it's nutrition or business or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Everybody has been led the wrong way for so long that if you tell them like, oh, actually, this is completely wrong, like they would look at you as if you're crazy. Because
yeah, she was flabbergasted. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like the orange juice is bad. I'm like, yeah. Like, slew a bottle of sugar. Like, you could just eat an orange. But because we're also raised. Because think about that. Like for breakfast, is an American breakfast. They were like, oh yeah, have orange juice and cereal and a cupcake on the side. Like, yeah, that.
Yeah, so I've noticed like once you start realizing the truth and you look at the world around you, you're like, oh man, people are pushing the lies because the lies makes this like machine go further.
Yeah.
But if everybody knew the truth, like the world would just kind of stop.
Yeah, exactly. Because then, like that, especially when it comes to food, then people wouldn't be getting sick, and then the pharmaceutical companies and everything would be making the money they want to make and all that. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like it's like they said that like 50 years ago we didn't have all the diseases and stuff that we have. Yeah, 50 years ago we didn't have have all the ingredients that we have in these foods either. So it's like, you know, all the food is poisoned and stuff. So it's like, what are we supposed to do? You know?
And I moved down to even essential oils, smelling things like eucalyptus, of the lungs, helps you breathe better.
Even people don't even realize that, like with skincare, like I like frankincense on my skin, and like they'll buy a billion bottles of like whatever that has 4,000 ingredients in it, and you can't even pronounce half the crap on the bottle. Like you could just throw some frankincense on your face and call it a day, but okay.
So I notice you have a lot of tattoos.
That I do.
You have stories with them or not?
Most of them, I feel like they all represent something cute. Let's say something cool. So my most recent one is the question mark on my right forearm. It was Friday the 13th recently, and like Atomic Tattoos always does like a promotion type of thing. So my friends and I were like, let's do tacos and tattoos. So we went to Los Chapos and got tacos, and then we went to the Atomic in Ybor, and we just picked out tattoos. So I chose a question mark because I think it's cool, one, because I'm a teacher and I've always been this way, but like I always believe in asking questions. My parents always let me do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I think that's what always made me like a really intelligent person. And then like my friends always say like I'm like a Wikipedia, where like I know a little bit about a lot. Because if I saw something and I was curious about it, Google didn't exist when I was younger. So I just like asked my parents, well, what is that? And if they knew the answer, they would answer. If not, I love the library, and my parents showed me how to do like research and stuff. So like I just would learn about stuff. So it was that, like if it was like something I saw or didn't understand, let's say throughout the week, and like I said, if my parents didn't know either, my mom was like, well, we can find out together at the library this weekend. And I was like, oh, okay. And like I love the Hudson River Library because it overlooks the water and stuff like that. So that was like my spot, and I would just go like discover the world in the library. And then of course when Google came out, that's my best friend. Like, oh Lord, because I'm still like a very curious person. So yeah, that's what the question mark is for. And
what is this one right here?
so this says abracadabra. So that's the actual spelling of abracadabra before it was ignorantly changed, I say. And I wanted the correct spelling because once again, I'm a reading teacher. I am very linguistic, and like I like literacy and stuff like that. So abracadabra actually means I create as I speak in Mesopotamian. And then it was, I say, adapted by physicians, and then that's why it's spelled differently modern now.
Yeah.
Because it was, adapted by how it was said, like how it was spoken instead of how it's actually done. So I got the correct spelling done. And so I got that one the last day of school because my friend Josh says we should always do something to celebrate the end of the school year. So we went on our beach trip. But before the beach trip, I got a tattoo to commemorate the end of the year because I consider children magical little beings. So I got abracadabra. And so that one is my dedication to my students for the first year. And then I have a little cactus on my wrist, on my right wrist. And that one was my first teacher tattoo, I say. So everyone says that's my teacher's talisman. So it's like, how like they usually represent like teachers like apples and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So cactus is my teacher representation because when I became a teacher, everybody starts buying new things for your classroom and supplies and blah blah blah. So it was just like a big coincidence that people were like getting me like cactus themed classroom decorations. I don't know why that was a thing, but it happened. And I never really was like, I never cared about cactus. Like I always thought they were cute and cool and stuff. And like one time my friend went to Arizona and I was like, "Go take a picture with the cactuses. I hear they're huge out there, So like, and they were like, it was like big, like a tree. Like I only ever seen like little ones. So I like cactuses, but I never thought it was mine. But then so I kept to the theme. Like I kept finding cactus things like really easy. So I would make like my PowerPoints with cactuses. Like I would find like little worksheets and the borders to be cactuses, like just like the kids like knew like I had a lot of cactus stuff, and they even asked me like, "Oh, Miss Vincent, are you obsessed with cactuses?" And I was like, "Guys, this really happened by accident. It's just it's going with the brand right now. It's just going with the brand. So after the first semester, after our teacher Christmas party or whatever, it was also December 13th. And I was like, well, I'll go. And on the flash of whatever to pick, there was a cactus. And I was like, well, that's on brand. And so I got it to, like I said, to celebrate the end of first semester. And yeah, just represents my students. And I also like it because cactuses also represent resiliency, which I think is important because my first year students of, my first year teaching I call them my little baby hood rats. So very resilient little beings.
Wait, do you speak Spanish?
No.
Oh, is this one Spanish?
Oh yeah, I mean like I'm fluent enough, or like, well, I don't know. I don't consider myself fluent enough where I put it on a resume or whatever. But the reason that has that on there, so the symbol above it is the symbol, it stands for the presence and protection of God, and it's from the Jabari tribe in Ghana. And I got that because when I was 18, I worked at Goodwill as a cashier, and some lady that walked in had it on like her shoulder, and I liked it, and I asked her what it was, and she told me, and I did my research, and she was right, that's what it was. And I said, oh, well, I like that, I'm gonna get that. So I always have it like on my list of like tattoos to get, right? And then Vaya con Dios, in Spanish, it means go with God, literally.
Yeah.
But the way people actually use it, it's like a long-term goodbye. So it's like you would say it to somebody if they're like moving away or going to the military, going off to college.
Yeah.
Or like even like something like if you're like planning to never see someone again, like you say that as goodbye. And a lot of people don't realize, like, in Spanish, like adios is goodbye, but it's the short version of it because that literally means to God. So, so what I liked about Vaya con Dios is that the first time I recognized, because I've heard it before, as like I said, and I always thought it as a long-term goodbye. But the first time I actually literally translated it out loud was one of the Purge movies. I don't remember. But the main character was a Dominican girl, and her friend was like driving this bus around, like just picking people up just to like protect them from the purge. And so she was on the bus with her, and before she got off the bus, like to say goodbye to her, her friend said to her, "Vaya con Dios," because they're in the purge, right? Still, when the friend said it, I did not think anything of it because she's just telling her friend goodbye, like whatever. But then my friend Josh, who I pretty much do everything with, I'm starting to realize, every story he's included because he's literally been my friend forever. He turns to me and he said, "What did she say?" Because he doesn't understand Spanish. But instead of saying simply, "Oh, she said goodbye," I said, "She said go with God." Because I knew that was the literal definition of it, but she was just saying goodbye.
Yeah.
But so when I said it out loud, like it hit me, I was like, wow, what a thing to say during the purge. Go with God while all this is happening. Like
I'll give you like a little added bonus to that.
Okay.
Do you know what Dominic means?
I don't.
In the Latin root, it means of the Lord.
Oh.
So like when you say Dominican, you're basically saying someone who is of the Lord.
Wow. That is so cool. What a moment. Like what a movie scene. Like, I was like, wow, that's crazy because they were Dominican. And they said, I was like, wow, that's deep. Yeah. So anyway, so that was the first time, because I always knew that's what it meant, but I never said it out loud. And then when I said it out loud to him, like it hit me like a brick. Like I was like, wow, that really means go with God and then purge. So that was really cool. And so when I finally decided to get the symbol tattooed, I felt like it wasn't complete. So I asked the guy to add that too, because it's, like I said, it stands for the presence and protection of God, and then this one says go with God. So I thought it was a perfect pairing of two cultures and stuff.
There's a lot of lore when it comes to Caribbean people, specifically for Dominicans. And I like to use real world evidence for the crazy shit that I come up with. Right?
Okay.
So like, you know, it was one of the biggest movies of all time.
I don't know.
Avatar.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know the one with the blue people?
Yeah, yeah.
So one of the main actresses, Zoe.
Saldana.
Yeah.
Is she Dominican?
She's Dominican.
Okay.
And then you know what's the movie that passed that one as far as like box office numbers or whatever?
The second one, maybe.
No, the Avengers movies.
Okay.
Yeah, the Endgame and
and
whatever.
she's in that too.
She's in that too. And like my thing is like when you look at that character, it's usually like, or at least that actress and the things that she do in the movies, like it's very. There's a key thing about them where like she's the one that gets sacrificed in order for like Thanos to do his thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So like there's always this very important kind of metaphysical, spiritual kind of thing with a Dominican, aka of the Lord. So it's like a lot of these things around us, they're spiritual in nature, whether we know it or not. So whether it's symbolisms, whether it's names or words, or what, like the things around us always they have a root in spirituality.
Yeah.
And once you like start learning about it, it's like, man, you can't unsee it. It's everywhere, you know?
Wow.
So I'm like super into that. It might be too much for my channel.
Yeah.
People will get lost.
You can go on forever with that. Yeah, because I always tell people like we are celestial beings having a human experience and like stuff like that. So it's like that when, like I said, when I say people take things too seriously, I'm like, this is even real. Like, you know. Like,
I remember the other day I was telling somebody, this is how much of a nerd, spiritual nerd I am. I see it in everything. I was watching wrestling. You ever watch wrestling?
Yes and no.
Well, there's this big famous character in wrestling. His name is The Undertaker.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Right?
My nephews.
So
his
whole whole gimmick is that he's the dead man.
Okay.
With me? That dead man has a brother.
Okay.
And his brother is named Cain.
Okay.
And if you know anything about like biblical history, you would know that there was these two famous brothers, and Cain is the one that kills his brother.
Oh, that's interesting.
So like unknowingly, people are watching wrestling, not knowing that they're watching a bunch of like spiritual stuff,
like
and spiritual characters, and like they have no idea.
Yeah.
And like once you see it through that lens, it's like, yo, every single episode, every major show, they have some spiritual thing going on. And I'm like, yo, this is in your face, you know? Like, but I can only talk about that kind of stuff with people who do shrooms because
no. I think they're spiritually aware people like who don't do shrooms.
To normies, they'll be like,
normies,
yo, they'll be like, yo, can you get away from me? Like, but yeah, I love pointing out that kind of stuff, and I'm like, yo, I'm going crazy, but it's right there, it's right there, it's in my face.
But I just feel like it's because, like I said, you have the information and you're aware.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of people who are not, you know. So I feel like a lot of people don't mind not being aware of a lot of things around them. Or
sometimes I wish I could turn it off, you know.
Yeah, because you know what I realized, like how I heard that only 50% of people actually have internal dialogue, and then that really made me realize like, wow, people really don't think. That's why there's people who really just do whatever they're told and can't like think it through. Right. Because for me, like I said, I've always been very inquisitive. Like I always have a question. I'm always thinking about something. Like I never imagined like my mind without that little voice inside it. So there's really people like, ain't nothing going on up there. Like, oh, okay. And then 50% I think is a little too high. Like I'm like, well, I mean, I guess somebody got to be the follower. Somebody got to be the worker ants and the soldiers. Like, you know, so it is what it is. So, yeah. But yeah, it's just crazy.
So, my style of massage, it's time warping. So a whole last hour went by. Isn't that crazy?
Really? I didn't even. Wow. That's crazy. I feel like our massages always feel quick.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
So that's good. That means your body was just like
Chill.
zoned out,
Yeah.
not present in the moment, so you can just kind of like leave, you know?
Yeah.
Your mind can just be at ease,
Exactly.
which is what I try to showcase. Like, if you're in the moment, because I've had clients that they'll be like, can you massage this? Can you work on that? Can you do this? I'm like, if you're constantly aware of what you think you need, like,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You're too present.
Yeah.
Overall, how do you feel?
That's so
Is
good.
this a weird experience?
No. It's chill.
Having a weird guy just rub on you on the internet?
And massages before. I just feel like that, like how you said, a lot of people have like a touchless life.
Mhm.
So like getting a massage is something that's strange and very uncomfortable to them, especially with like a random person because they're only used to like someone that touches them has to be like very close to them and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've always been real chill about that. So yeah.
But hopefully you feel good and relaxed.
Yeah.
For those of you watching at home, that was the end. See you guys next time.